At 9:43 on the night before my grandson's 5th birthday, my phone played a 7-second message never meant to reach me. Noah whispered, "Grandpa, Mommy says Daddy won't wake up, and I have to be quiet." Then the message disappeared. 3 seconds later, my daughter-in-law texted, "Don't come tomorrow. You make everything harder. We need you out of our lives for a while. Please." Before we continue, make sure to subscribe to the channel and let us know in the comments where you are listening from today. My name is Howard Mercer. I was 68, a retired fire inspector from Kansas City, and I had learned that danger rarely announces itself with flames. Sometimes it arrives as silence where a familiar voice should be. My wife, Ruth, had died 18 months earlier after 41 years of marriage. Our only son, Evan, lived in Wichita with his wife, Sloane, and their little boy, Noah. Since Ruth's funeral, Noah had become the bright place in my week. Every Sunday, he called to tell me one impossible fact about dinosaurs. But during the previous 6 months, those calls had shortened. Sloane answered Evan's phone, canceled visits, and said Noah became emotionally unsettled after seeing me. Evan always apologized. "She's under pressure, Pop. Give her time." I did because patience feels noble until someone uses it to build a wall around those you love. The vanished message changed everything. I called Evan 11 times. Every call went to voicemail. Sloane replied, "He took a sleeping pill. Stop creating emergencies." I asked to speak with Noah. She wrote, "He is asleep. Do not contact us again tonight." But Noah had said Daddy would not wake up, not that Daddy was sleeping. I saved screenshots, packed the wooden fire truck I had built for Noah, and left before sunrise. At 8:16 the next morning, another message arrived from Evan's number. "Dad, I'm fine. Turn around." It frightened me more. Evan never called me Dad in a text. He called me Pop. I called again. No answer. When I reached Briar Glen Apartments at 10:22, Sloane's SUV was gone, but Evan's car sat crooked across 2 spaces. A green hospital bracelet hung from the mirror, and the window was open despite the rain. The blinds above were closed. A birthday banner had been stuffed into the trash beside the stairs. On top lay Noah's red dinosaur backpack. Before I reached the entrance, Sloane called. Her voice was calm enough to sound practiced. "Howard, I can see your truck. Leave. Put Evan on the phone. He doesn't want to speak to you." "Then let Noah tell me that." She paused. "You confuse love with control. And you confuse an explanation with proof. Open the door. If you come upstairs, I'll call the police." "Call them." She hung up. The blinds shifted. A small hand pressed against the glass, then vanished as if pulled away. I grabbed the fire truck, but my phone buzzed again. The caller was Martin Vale, the building manager. "Mr. Mercer, I found your number on Evan's lease guarantee. Are you still in the parking lot?" "Yes." His next words replaced my anger with fear. "Do not leave. We've tried to reach you for 3 days, but someone keeps changing the emergency number on the account." I looked up at the closed blinds. "Is my son alive?" Martin did not answer. "Come to the side entrance. Bring identification, and whatever you do, don't let your daughter-in-law see you." I moved my truck behind the maintenance garage and entered through a door Martin held open. "Sloane installed a camera above her apartment," he whispered. "If she sees us, she may return before police arrive." "Why haven't they been called?" "They came twice." A woman answered through the door and said everyone was sick but safe. On the second-floor landing, June Keller, a retired pediatric nurse from across the hall, gripped my wrist. For 3 nights, June had slept beside her door, waiting. That was Noah's hand in the window, wasn't it? "You saw him?" "Every morning until Sunday. Neither he nor Evan has left in 3 days." June heard a crash Sunday night, followed by Noah crying and Sloane saying, "Daddy is sleeping. If you make noise, they'll take you away." On Monday, Sloane carried 4 suitcases downstairs. She returned alone for 9 minutes, then left with documents and Evan's blue medical cooler. Evan had Addison's disease. Without his steroid medication, a minor illness could become a fatal crisis. "Why didn't you enter?" I asked Martin. Sloane threatened legal action and emailed a doctor's note saying they had influenza. He showed it to me. The clinic logo was distorted, the physician's name misspelled, and the number reached an answering service. I had spent decades examining documents created to make negligence look accidental. This one was designed to delay entry. Martin opened the tenant portal. My correct emergency number had been replaced with a disconnected one at 1:18 Monday morning, less than an hour after the crash. The change came from Sloane's password. She had not panicked. She had begun sealing the apartment. A faint thud came from behind the door, followed by 3 taps, a pause, then 3 more. "That's Noah," June whispered. "I taught him to tap the wall if he needed me." I knocked softly. "Noah, it's Grandpa," a child answered. "She said you weren't coming. I came anyway." The lock clicked, but the door opened 1 inch before the security chain caught. Through the gap, I saw Noah's terrified eye and a bruise on his cheek. "Can you remove the chain?" He shook his head. Mommy tied it. A black cord had been knotted around the track so it could not slide free. Someone had made certain Noah could not open the door. Martin called 911 and took bolt cutters from his bag. Before he cut, Sloane called again. I let Martin record it. "Step away from my apartment," she said. "You have no right to enter. Noah is alone. Evan is with him. Then put Evan on." Her voice hardened. "Break that door, and you will never see Noah again." Through the gap, Noah raised 1 finger to his lips and pointed into the dark hallway. An electronic alarm chirped once inside. I recognized the low battery warning from Evan's medical monitor. "Sloane, what did you do to my son?" She ended the call. Martin cut the cord and pushed the door inward. Heat and stale air rolled into the hallway. Noah grabbed my coat with both hands. Beyond him, overturned medicine bottles covered the carpet, and a bare foot extended from behind the kitchen island. The foot belonged to Evan. He lay between the kitchen island and cabinets, skin gray, lips split from dehydration, one arm reaching toward a shattered glass. For 1 terrible second, I thought we were too late. June found a weak pulse. I dropped beside him. "Evan, it's Pop. Open your eyes." His eyelids moved. Noah clung to me and whispered, "Daddy talked yesterday, but only with his eyes." I carried Noah into the hallway. He was barefoot, feverish, and wearing the same dinosaur pajamas from the message. A bag beside the couch held crackers, juice, and water. Sloane had left enough to keep a 5-year-old alive, but no way for him to seek help. Paramedics arrived and prepared an emergency steroid injection. "Adrenal crisis," the lead medic said. Another few hours and his organs could have failed. As they lifted him, his wedding ring slipped from his swollen hand. Noah picked it up and asked whether Daddy had stopped wearing it because Mommy was angry. June turned away to hide her tears. I closed the ring inside my fist and promised myself that if Evan survived, no one would ever use his patience as a weapon again. Noah reached beneath the couch and produced a prescription bottle. Mommy said to hide this if people came. The label bore Evan's name, but the white round pills were not his blue oval hydrocortisone tablets. June recognized them as antihistamines. A paramedic sealed the bottle and called police. The thermostat was set to 86 degrees. The refrigerator unplugged to spoil Evan's backup medication, and the landline cut. Yet the router and door camera remained powered. Sloane had disabled everything that could save him while preserving everything that let her watch. Officers found Evan's clothes in trash bags and Noah's passport missing. Sloane's clothes, jewelry, laptop, and passport were gone. "Where did Mommy go?" An officer asked Noah. "She said she was taking our new house to a man named Grant. She said Daddy would go to heaven, and then I could come." "Did she hurt your cheek?" Noah touched the bruise. I tried to open the door. She pushed me and tied the chain. She said calling Grandpa would make Daddy die faster. I wanted to find her, but my training took over. Protect the living and preserve the evidence. I gave police my screenshots and Martin's recording. Martin exported the camera logs before Sloane could erase them. She had checked the live feed 47 times after leaving, including twice while ambulances stood outside. Evan's monitor revealed worse. His heart rate became dangerous Sunday night, and every alert was acknowledged remotely from Sloane's phone without requesting help. She had watched him deteriorate in real time. At the ambulance, Evan regained consciousness. His eyes found Noah, then me. One word escaped him. "Drawer." He pointed weakly toward the apartment before fading again. An officer followed me inside. Beneath tax records and Evan's desk, we found a thumb drive taped to the bottom drawer. It contained weekly video diaries. In the final recording, made 4 days earlier, Evan looked exhausted. If something happens to me, Sloane has been replacing my medication. She thinks I haven't noticed. I stayed quiet because she threatened to take Noah. But tomorrow, I'm telling Pop everything. A door opened behind him. Sloane's voice asked, "Who are you talking to?" The screen went black. Police immediately issued a statewide alert for her SUV. Noah and I followed Evan's ambulance. As the hospital doors swallowed my son, Noah placed the wooden fire truck on Evan's chest and whispered, "Grandpa came, Daddy. You can wake up now." Evan spent 9 hours in intensive care before doctors reversed the crisis. His kidneys were injured but functioning. Noah slept across 2 waiting room chairs with my coat beneath his head. Whenever a door opened, he asked whether it was Daddy or Mommy. I could answer one question but not the other. Shortly after midnight, Evan recognized me. His first words were, "Where's Noah?" I brought Noah close enough for him to touch his hair. Then my son cried with the helplessness of a man realizing someone he loved had intended him not to wake. "She took my injections Sunday," he whispered. She said the pharmacy recalled them. When I got dizzy, she gave me 2 pills. I woke on the kitchen floor, and she was packing. "Why didn't you call me?" I tried. "She blocked your number and told me you wanted custody of Noah." I had never said that. Sloane fed each of us a different lie, then used our silence to make both believable. The control began after Evan questioned withdrawals from their savings. She took over the accounts, opened his mail, attended every medical appointment, and threatened to tell a judge his condition made him an unsafe father. I thought protecting my marriage meant absorbing the damage. I placed his wedding ring on the table. A marriage isn't protected when only one person is allowed to survive it. At 1:17 a.m., Detective Meera Patel arrived. Police had found Sloane's SUV outside a private airfield. Her passport and suitcase were gone, but Noah's booster seat remained. Footage showed her entering a pickup driven by Grant Voss, the advisor who managed Evan's retirement account. She wasn't running only from her marriage, Patel said. She left with the man controlling your money. Grant had encouraged Evan to consolidate his insurance, pension, and investments. Their value, including a life policy Evan did not remember increasing, exceeded $1.8 million. Its beneficiary had been changed from Noah's trust to Sloane. "I never approved that," Evan said. Patel needed a clear chain connecting Sloane, Grant, the false pills, and the altered forms. I knew who could build it. Leonard Cross had investigated insurance fraud and fatal fires for the Kansas Bureau of Investigation. We had worked together on 3 arson cases, and he trusted evidence more than explanations. I called him at 2:06. "Don't contact Sloane, warn Grant, or move money," he said. "People reveal their plan when they believe it still works. My son nearly died. Then they may be waiting for a death certificate. Let them wait." If Sloane believed Evan remained unconscious, she might continue the transaction that exposed her. Before sunrise, the hospital hid Evan's information under an alias. Patel allowed one controlled message to reach Sloane. "Patient remains critical. Prognosis uncertain." 11 minutes later, Grant entered Evan's insurance portal and requested instructions for filing an accelerated death claim. Leonard called me back. "Now we know what they're watching. Next, we find what they planned to buy with your son's death." Leonard began with the people Sloane had treated as invisible. June gave him a notebook of dates, arguments, and unusual departures. Martin produced requests showing Sloane changed the locks twice, removed me from the visitor list, and asked staff to report my truck. One complaint claimed I threatened her on a day toll records proved I was 200 miles away. She was creating a history for a custody judge, Leonard said. Evan authorized access to his phone account. The blocked list contained my number, June's, his doctor's emergency line, co-workers, and his childhood friend Marcus. Their messages had been redirected to a folder controlled by Sloane's tablet. She replied from Evan's phone that he needed space, turning his silence into consent. 6 weeks earlier, Evan asked to stay with Marcus. Marcus later received, "I changed my mind. Stop interfering in my marriage." Evan never wrote it. His supervisor also received a resignation draft, citing progressive medical disability, language supporting a claim that he could not care for Noah. June's camera provided the most painful evidence. It recorded Sloane entering the apartment Monday after leaving Evan on the floor. 9 minutes later, she emerged carrying his medicine cooler and speaking on her phone. Enhanced audio captured. He's still breathing, but not enough to change the plan. The old man got the cancellation. He won't come. That old man was me. I watched twice, because anger makes men careless, and I needed mine to become useful. Grant's phone connected to the same tower, while a parking camera placed his truck 3 blocks away. He was close enough to help, but waited, while Sloane checked whether Evan had died. Detective Patel obtained their shared cloud account. Deleted calendar entries formed a timeline. Beneficiary change, medication switch, birthday cancellation, airfield pickup, death claim. Noah's birthday was labeled Transition Day. Beneath it, Grant wrote, H leaves by noon. S handles child after confirmation. Confirmation of what? I asked. Evan's death, Patel said. Noah had to remain inside, so the scene resembled an accident, a sick father collapsing while caring for his son. Sloane would return as the grieving wife, who had left briefly to prepare a birthday surprise. Her camera checks were not concern. She waited for Noah to stop moving beside Evan, indicating exhaustion had silenced him. Why leave food? Evan asked from his hospital bed. Leonard answered, she needed Noah alive to support the story. Evan turned toward the wall. Surviving had forced him to learn that his wife reduced him to a role in her alibi. Leonard found a message Grant sent after the controlled update. Once he's gone, file before the father gets guardianship. Transfer the first payment offshore. Sloane replied with a photograph of 2 tickets to Belize, bought using Evan's savings. The flight left Dallas in 36 hours. Police knew where they intended to go, but an immediate arrest might let each blame the other. Leonard proposed continuing the insurance process through a monitored channel. They built this together. Give them 1 more day, and they may explain it together. For months, Sloane made Evan feel weak for needing help. Now asking for help was the strongest thing he could do. He signed the authorization. The trap was set using the isolation she had created. The trap began with an insurance video appointment. The claims specialist was an investigator, and a warrant allowed every word to be recorded. Sloane joined from a motel outside Dallas. Grant sat beside her but moved away when the camera activated. My husband is unlikely to recover, she said, with practiced grief. I need the accelerated benefit for our son. Asked why Noah was absent, she replied, his grandfather took him. Howard has always been obsessed with replacing my husband. She turned my concern into evidence of instability. When the investigator requested proof of the beneficiary change, Grant leaned into view. I personally witnessed Evan sign it. We now had him claiming first-hand knowledge of a signature Evan denied making. Leonard examined who Grant really was. His advisor license expired 11 months earlier, after clients reported unauthorized withdrawals. Sloane knew because she was the compliance assistant assigned to his case. Instead of reporting missing files, she resigned. 2 weeks later, $86,000 vanished from an elderly client's account, passed through a company registered under Sloane's maiden name, and paid Grant's gambling debts. Their affair also predated her marriage. Receipts and photographs placed them together a year before she met Evan. Your son wasn't a husband she grew tired of, Leonard said. He was selected. Evan had stable work, excellent credit, a serious medical condition, and a valuable inheritance. Ruth had left him a lake property worth $640,000. Sloane convinced him to sell it for Noah's education, but Grant scattered the money across 12 accounts. Some paid debts, the rest bought cryptocurrency and Belize tickets. The $1.8 million policy would complete their escape. Evan listened from his hospital bed. Was any part of my marriage real? No one answered. Evidence proves crimes, not every moment before them. Noah held up a drawing of 3 people beneath a blue roof. Daddy, Grandpa, and me. Evan smiled, then turned away to cry. Grant obtained the false medication using the credentials of a deceased pharmacy owner. He ordered antihistamines matching Evan's tablets, while Sloane copied the prescription label. Their searches included how long can adrenal crisis look natural, and can a child remember 3 days alone. She prepared her defense before locking him inside, Patel said. During the next appointment, Grant provided a Belize account. Sloane interrupted. Not until we know Evan can't speak. Forgetting the camera, Grant replied. He couldn't lift his head when you left. Even if he wakes, we have the incapacity paperwork. And if Howard found the videos? We say a sick man was paranoid. They showed no guilt, only irritation that Evan might survive to contradict them. The investigator required Sloane's signature at a Dallas office the next morning. She agreed, and police prepared the arrest. Minutes later, Grant received an encrypted message. Evan is awake. They found the drive. They checked out within 6 minutes, and the pickup headed south. Someone inside the hospital or investigation had warned them. Leonard studied the highway image. The trap exposed a third person. Then Evan's nurse entered, saw Detective Patel, and immediately turned around. Patel called her name. The nurse stopped, but did not face us. Her badge identified her as Camille Voss. Evan stared at the surname, then at the IV line she had replaced an hour earlier. Grant had not merely placed an informant near my son. He had placed his own sister beside Evan's medication. Patel stopped Camille before the elevator. Security found an unlabeled syringe beneath gauze on her medication cart. Camille called it saline, but its barcode belonged to a sedative capable of suppressing Evan's breathing. I was helping him rest. Evan stared at her. Your brother already tried to make sure I never woke. Her phone contained the warning to Grant and another message. If they move him, I can't finish it. She was not merely an informant. Patel arrested her but kept the phone online. Believing his sister remained free, Grant answered a police message with coordinates for a storage facility near Laredo, 6 miles from Mexico. State police followed his pickup while federal agents surrounded the facility. Sloane and Grant arrived near midnight. Sloane called Camille's phone, and Patel silently recorded. We have the passports, Sloane said. The insurer froze everything. What did Evan say? Patel typed, he remembers medication. Then the apartment story is dead, Grant spoke in the background. Ask if the old man has Noah. Howard has him, Sloane said. I can claim he abducted Noah while I escaped an abusive husband. Grant laughed. How do you explain chaining the kid inside? Evan was supposed to be dead before anyone opened the door. Noah would say Daddy got sick, and I'd say I returned as soon as I heard. She discussed my son's death like a delayed flight. Patel let the silence continue. Sloane filled it. I switched the pills, removed the injection, and silenced the monitor. Evan was going to expose the accounts and take Noah. Stop giving details over the phone, Grant snapped. Too late. Federal agents heard everything. At the unit, Grant loaded cash into the truck. Sloane carried forged incapacity forms, a counterfeit custody order, and death certificate applications bearing Evan's information. Agents moved when Grant opened the driver's door. He surrendered immediately. Sloane ran, climbed a fence, and reached the access road before patrol cars surrounded her. She shouted that I had kidnapped Noah and turned Evan against her. Patel played the confession. Sloane fell silent. As officers placed her in the car, she looked directly at the camera and smiled. Even after confessing, she still believed the custody court would give her one final weapon. Grant tried bargaining before reaching the police car. He blamed Sloane for the medical plan and Camille for the sedative. Sloane screamed, "You chose Evan. You said his condition made him perfect." Their loyalty lasted exactly as long as their escape. By sunrise, all three faced conspiracy, attempted murder, child endangerment, fraud, and identity theft charges. Police recovered $214,000 and records connecting them to 4 elderly victims. But arrest solved only the criminal danger. From jail, Sloane filed an emergency custody motion claiming Evan was medically incapable and I had manipulated Noah. Her attorney demanded Noah be placed with Sloane's mother until trial. Evan could not yet walk unassisted, and being Noah's grandfather gave me no automatic custody. A social worker arrived with temporary placement papers. Noah saw the folder and hid beneath Evan's bed. "Are they taking me somewhere Mommy can find me?" I lay on the floor so he could see me. "Not if I can prove where you belong." Rescuing him from the apartment had been the easy part. Now I had to protect him from a system that had not decided whether I was family. Attorney Rachel Monroe met us outside family court. The judge must decide where Noah is safest today, not who may be convicted next year. Sloane appeared by video from jail and began crying before anyone questioned her. Her lawyer called Evan medically fragile, me controlling, and Sloane's mother, Vivian, the only neutral relative. Vivian claimed Noah needed a woman's care. Rachel asked when she last saw him. Christmas. What did you give him? A bicycle. Rachel displayed that Christmas photograph. The bicycle belonged to another child, and Vivian was absent. She had not seen Noah in 14 months. Sloane had coached a witness who barely knew him. The judge reviewed apartment photographs, hospital records, blocked calls, and Martin's recording. Sloane's lawyer said I entered illegally and frightened Noah. Martin produced my lease guarantee and the emergency authorization signed, after hearing a child behind the locked door. June testified about Noah's tapping signal. He did not fear his grandfather. He feared no grandfather was coming. A specialist played Noah's interview. He described rationing crackers, wetting a towel for Evan, and climbing onto a chair to reach Sloane's phone. I pressed Grandpa's picture. I said Daddy wouldn't wake up. Then Mommy's face appeared on the door camera and said I was bad. Sloane had remotely deleted the message, but my phone downloaded it first. Asked where he wanted to stay, Noah answered, with Grandpa until Daddy can stand. Then with both. Evan testified from a wheelchair. My illness doesn't make me an unsafe father. Trusting my wife nearly made me a dead one. My father saved us because he listened. Sloane leaned toward the camera. You're letting him steal our son. Evan stared at her. You left our son chained beside my body. There is no hour left. Her tears stopped, revealing the cold expression that appeared whenever sympathy failed. The court denied Vivian's request and granted me temporary guardianship while Evan recovered. Sloane was barred from contacting Noah outside therapy. Noah studied the order. Contemporary change? We keep showing them the truth. And if they forget, Evan rolled beside us. We remind them together. 3 days later, I drove Evan and Noah to my Kansas City home because the apartment remained a crime scene. Noah insisted Evan sit beside him. Halfway there, he opened the fire truck and found my birthday card inside its hollow ladder. I had promised a trip to the fire museum and signed, Love, Grandpa, always on your way. Noah traced the words. You wrote this before I called. Yes. So you were coming before you knew I needed you. I met Evan's wet eyes in the mirror. That's what family does, he said. At home, Noah refused to enter until Evan crossed first. My son managed 3 steps with a walker. Noah matched everyone. In the living room, he placed the truck beneath Ruth's photograph. Grandma helped Grandpa hear me. That night, father and son fell asleep holding hands. I covered them with Ruth's quilt and understood temporary was only a word on paper. They were already home. The criminal case lasted 11 months, but Sloane's defense collapsed early. Grant pleaded guilty for 22 years and testified that she proposed using Evan's illness to create a natural death. Camille admitted warning Grant and preparing the sedative, though she denied intending to use it. Her message saying she could not finish it destroyed that claim. She received 12 years. Sloane rejected every offer, believing tears and motherhood could outlast evidence. At trial, her attorney called Evan a confused patient whose father exploited a crisis to destroy a marriage. Then prosecutors played her confession. I switched the pills. I removed the injection. I silenced the monitor. The evidence followed the false tablets, unplugged refrigerator, cut landline, altered contact number, forged beneficiary form, hidden money, chained door, camera checks, and prepared death certificates. Each piece supported the next until even her attorney stopped calling them coincidences. June described hearing Noah cry beside his unconscious father. Martin explained Sloane's efforts to prevent entry. A paramedic detailed how close Evan came to organ failure. Leonard traced Ruth's inheritance through Grant's companies. Finally, Evan took the stand. He walked with a cane but refused a chair. Sloane's lawyer asked why he stayed if he feared his wife. She convinced me endurance proved love, he answered. She isolated me until asking for help felt like betraying my family. Control teaches victims to defend the person hurting them. Sloane mouthed, "I loved you." Evan shook his head. Love does not measure how slowly someone can die. Noah's recorded interview spared him from appearing in court. After 6 hours, the jury found Sloane guilty of attempted murder, conspiracy, child endangerment, fraud, identity theft, and witness tampering. She received 34 years, with no early release for 25. Before sentencing, she said, "One day, Noah will want his mother." Evan answered, "Then I will tell him the truth, without teaching him to hate you." He denied her the conflict she still wanted to control. 2 weeks later, family court finalized the divorce and granted Evan sole custody. Sloane's contact was suspended indefinitely. The forged incapacity papers were voided, Noah's trust restored, and recovered money placed under independent protection. Asked what would happen if Evan became ill again, he looked at me. "My father has medical, school, and temporary guardianship authority. This time the people who love me have the information." Outside, reporters asked whether I felt victorious. I looked at Evan leaning on his cane, and Noah holding his other hand. Victory would have been learning the truth before my son reached that floor. This is accountability. We drove to Briar Glen for Noah's backpack and Ruth's framed recipe card. Martin handed Evan the old lease, which he tore and recycled. June brought down Noah's houseplant. He hugged her. "You heard my taps. You kept tapping." That mattered too. Before leaving, Noah looked at the second-floor window. "Can we remove the chain so another kid can open the door?" Martin unscrewed it and placed it with the police evidence. Noah watched until only bare wood remained. Then he took Evan's hand and walked away. 2 years after the message that changed us, Evan no longer needed his cane. He and Noah lived 6 minutes from me, close enough for Sunday dinner without invitations. Evan returned to work and spoke to support groups about medical abuse. "I'm not brave," he said. "I'm just done being quiet." Noah healed differently. For months, he slept with my phone beneath his pillow and panicked when messages disappeared. His therapist taught him that adults, not children, were responsible for asking for help. We taped emergency numbers beside every phone. Noah tested mine monthly. The first time, he said, "This isn't an emergency. You never need an emergency to call Grandpa." For his 7th birthday, he chose the fire museum trip promised in my old card. Evan, June, Martin, Leonard, and Patel joined us. Noah climbed into an old engine, rang its bell, and called everyone his rescue team. I paid the balance on June's mortgage not as payment, because no amount equaled what she did, but because good people should feel the consequences of their choices too. I funded emergency kits and child safety training for Martin's apartment buildings. He introduced a policy permitting immediate entry when a child or vulnerable tenant might be trapped. Its first page carried June's words, "You do not wait for danger to become somebody else's job." Asset seizures recovered much of Ruth's stolen inheritance. Evan restored Noah's trust and created the Ruth Mercer Emergency Advocacy Fund, providing legal help and temporary housing to people whose medical conditions were used to control them. "Mom never mistook patience for permission," he said. Sloane sent Noah letters from prison. Evan stored them unopened with his therapist, leaving the choice to Noah when he was older. He never lied about her, but he refused to soften the truth. Healing did not require pretending harm came from love. On the rescue anniversary, Noah asked to hear his 7-second message. He listened once, then deleted it himself. "Are you sure?" I asked. "Yes. You heard me the first time." He replaced it with a new recording. "Grandpa, Daddy is awake. The door is open, and I don't have to whisper." That message remains on my phone. Sometimes I play it to remember how close I came to turning around. Sloane called me difficult, controlling, and too much trouble. She was right about one thing. I was trouble for the silence protecting her. I was the truck that stayed, the hand that opened the door, and the voice that kept asking questions after the answers became painful. Love is not proven by how much harm you tolerate to make a family look whole. It is proven by who listens when someone whispers, who arrives when told to stay away, and who refuses to leave until every locked door is open. If that makes me too much trouble, I hope I remain that kind of trouble for every day I have left.